Lego contacted me. So I wake up one morning with a message that says, "Hi, I'm reaching out on behalf of Lego. Would you like to be informed concerning an opportunity with your YouTube channel?" And I'm like, why are you contacting me over Facebook Messenger? Anyway, so I get the same message a little while later on my business email. I get in touch with people who get me in touch with people, and I end up on this email thread with 3 other awesome Lego YouTubers. In case you haven't figured it out, they wanted us to cover this book that's coming out. It's called Quest for the Lost Powers. It's a Canon follow-up to Crystallized. They sent out PDF copies first so that we could start reading, and then they sent out the physical copies, which I have nowhere. Right here, I'm holding the book right here, and it's definitely here. Yeah, they're sent out, but I have no idea when they're arriving. This is the slot I have to film, so we're just gonna cover it now. Obviously, I already filmed some content with my other fellow wonderful YouTubers, and we had a great discussion, but I would like to go in depth with my feelings because I got a lot to say. So first, as a brief overview, this is like a middle grade chapter book, and it has 4 stories concerning each of the 4 original ninja as they go and rediscover their powers, and it's kind of framed like they're rediscovering their true potential. Overall, I thought it was like really cute, really well done. I think the main sticking point is, I don't know why this is a book. Like, the main cliffhanger at the end of Crystallized was we gave up our powers, but power is never truly gone. We're gonna get it back. Like, how do they get it back is the cliffhanger, and that gets answered in a spin-off canon book. I don't know anything about United, so maybe that makes sense, maybe it doesn't, given where the storyline is going. But as of right now, I really wish some of this content was in the show. That being said, if you're down for like a little cute children's chapter book version of the continuation of the series, this is great. It's just also a book. So that's my basic rundown. If you're interested in reading, go do that now because we're about to get into spoilers. So the book starts off with a little prologue from Wu talking about the ninja gave up their powers, and then they came back and they had their powers, and nobody knows how they did it because I guess it's a big secret or something. But he's inviting us in to tell us the story. Now then, let's begin before our tea gets cold. Okay, I got some tea. We're ready to go. The first story we have is Kai's. Kai is going through a season 11. Kai has lost his powers. He is feeling down on himself. He has retreated into non-productivity. He's moved into an apartment by himself and spends most of his time hanging out at Skylar's noodle house, just slurping away noodles. He says the line, "There's nothing important for me to do anymore." Yikes, my dude. In season 11, explicitly, he learned that he does have value specifically without his powers. Jake taught him that, right? And they bring this up in the text like, "Hey Kai, haven't you been through this before?" And he's like, "Yes, last time I got my powers back through like concentrating really hard, and that just didn't work this time." But also, that wasn't the resolution to that arc. The resolution was that he found value within himself. The whole discovering power is a part of you was separate. To me, it reads as just more of the same. We also get the exposition that crime in Ninjago City is going up again after the end of Crystallized, which seems a little weird because, you know, Crystallized was based on like eliminating the undercurrent of evil that brought back the Overlord, right? You still know Spinjitzu. You're still as smart as you ever were and brave. You can still do good in the world. Ninjago City has an excellent police force, Kai replied. I would say that's debatable. He then gets attacked by this group called the Rotten Rabbits, who are, I guess, these new criminals. Kai is totally incompetent. Skylar has to save him. Then on the TV, they see that there is a cult called the Fire Fiends that has formed around Fire Fang. Kai realizes, hey, wait a second. Fire Fang was powered by my original elemental power. Maybe I can get my power back by going to him. And this is where I had one thought. I think it would have made a lot more sense if he was in denial about losing his powers. Think about it. He's lost his powers so many times. He's felt hopeless so many times. But he's now learned that the power is in him, he can regain it back. He has this blind faith that like, oh, my powers will come back any day now, it's fine, and that's what's propelling him forward, and Sky has to be like, okay, we can go on this journey and try and figure out, see if we can get them back, but like, what if you don't? You need to come to terms with that. Now, I'd like to dive into Kai and Skylar's dynamic a little bit in this story, because it's interesting. Basically, the lesson that Kai needs to learn at the end of the story is that he needs to be able to accept help in order to reach his full potential. In order to make that transformation, he has to start as rejecting help. And Skylar is the other person in this story. So this results in Kai just like ignoring, belittling Skylar, being like, I don't need you, I gotta do this on my own, you can't help me, which like I get. But also kind of makes Kai sound low-key super sexist, stacked on top of the fact that this is coming after the crystallized ambiguity around, are they a couple? They haven't said anything about it yet, and apparently they still haven't. Maybe this road trip would be good for us. I mean, we haven't even been out on a real date yet. I come to visit you every night at the noodle shop, Kai protested. That does not count as a date, Skylar replied. He thought he was dating her. Boys, please be better than this. Anyway, they have a little discussion and then they decide, okay, we're gonna go on this road trip, try and find Fire Fang, see if we can, defeat this cult. By the way, snake cult? Again? Skylar had donned her fighting uniform, her hair pulled back into a ponytail. No kidding. We don't actually get any of their small talk on the road trip. We have like a little paragraph like, and they drove to the place and they talked while they drove. So they get there, the fire fiends start to attack, and so they jump into action. The ninjagos are like phonetically elongated in the text, which is very cute. So they start fighting the fire fiends. This is where Kai gets the most sexist. I told you, I got this. Yeah, well, thanks for your help, but I could have done it on my own. I'm not gonna let her stop me from doing what I have to do. All right, Kai reluctantly agreed, but don't get in my way, he thought. Yikes, dude! Skylar frowned. Kai, I know you're going through something, so I'm being pretty patient with you, but I don't know how long that's going to last. Boy, I would have been done with him already! Anyway, Skylar ends up knocking over this water tower, which scares the fire fiends away. Foul water! Hydration prevents our salvation! This is like the opposite of the parachuting kitten. Stay hydrated, guys. Having defeated the fire fiends, they go to confront Fire Fang. This line I feel is very telling. She's right, he thought, but instead of gratitude, confusion and anger bubbled up inside him. That's not good. Kai pushes past even Skylar's breaking point. Just stop saving me, okay? I'll never get my powers back if I don't do this myself. I don't need you, Skylar. Anyway, Skylar's had enough. She gets out of there. Good for her. He tries to confront Fire Fang, but by the end of the chapter, he realizes this fire is far removed from me. At this point, I need to find my own fire another way. And that takes us to the end of Kai's story with chapter 5, Fighting Fire with Fire. Can I just say, I hate it when media leans into the fight fire with fire angle as a positive solution when the whole point of the phrase is that fighting fire with fire is a terrible idea. Like, don't fight fire with fire. That's the point. Kai's about to get like burned alive as he makes his realization, and Kyler swoops in to save him because she's a good person, and so she didn't totally abandon him. She just kind of like hung back and stayed because she knew Kai was going to be a self-destructive idiot, which like very good instincts there. Kai quickly kicked away from the rocks and jumped to his feet. Skylar dropped the red-hot shield, and Kai saw she was now wearing 2 Master Chen's fireproof oven mitts on her hands. Why didn't I think of those, he thought. I don't know, was there Chekhov's fireproof Master Chen's oven mitts? And so Kai learns the lesson that he needs to accept help, which is kind of cool. Like, his original true potential was, I need to be protecting others, and now this second true potential is, I need to let others protect me. But it's also kind of like exactly the same. Both times the universe is just telling Kai, you're not the center of attention, dude. You need to chill. And then they defeat Fire Fang, but he kind of just like poofs.
Poof? He just poofed?
A sphere created Fire Fang, Skylar pointed out. Maybe it returned back to elemental energy. We may never know, Kai added. And then the story ends as they're like, maybe we should talk about, are we a thing? Same exact note as the end of Crystallized. And that's the Kai story. I like this one. I don't love this one. But you know, it's mainly a good time. We have another snake cult. We have more Skylar. So, I mean, it's got its upsides. Moving right along to the Zane chapter. So the Zane story is the one that I think most people are gonna want to get this book for because it covers the Ice Emperor trauma. Yeah, you see what I mean when I said I wish this would have been in the show? Anyway, we start off this section and immediately learn we are just rolling with the emotional support girlfriends angle. Zane, please hold still, Pixel said in a patient voice. How could I have guessed? Of course it's Pixel. They're at the old Samurai X cave. Pixel has come up with this program where you can enter your memories, and they think if he can go into his memories and like explore, maybe he can like unlock his true potential again. Zane had complete trust in his android friend because Pixel understood him better than anyone else. Oh, friend zoned, huh? Like this section goes hard on the they're really great friends angle, which this does kind of play into a conspiracy theory that I've had for a while, which I absolutely love, which is that Pixel and Zane aren't dating. They just are mutually crushing on each other super hard and are super bad at camouflaging any of those signals, but also they both super suck at picking up all of those signals. So all this time that they've been acting lovey-dovey is just them being like, oh man, I really like them. Ah, if only I could tell them. All of those times when they're like, I'm about to die, tell Zane or Pixel that I love them. That's like their dying confession of like, I was never able to confess my feelings. I better do it now. We're gonna get into like season 30 and Zane's gonna be like, guys, I think I'm gonna tell Pixel that I like her. And everybody's gonna be like, what? You were the same person for like 5 years. How do you not know? So Zane goes into his memories and we have essentially just a whole chapter of scenes from the show written out on the page. We have season 4's like ice dragon thing that he's reliving in his memory. And that's the whole chapter. Beginning of the next chapter, he feels like it's helping, but he decides to go meditate in the frozen lake again for a little bit to see if that prompts anything. The code like remotely activates, so he just gets launched into the next memory without warning. And this one is Dr. Julian's death. So we see that. Beginning of the next chapter, Zane is experiencing memories that he has forgotten from in between when Dr. Julian died and when he got found by Master Wu. Turns out he was an awesome snowboarder dude who went around helping people. So cool. There's this great moment where he sees the people that are in danger that his past self eventually goes to save, but him in memory form, like, tries to go and save them and just forgets that he's in a memory. He can't actually affect anything. And I thought that was a very, like, in-character moment for him. Memory Zane did a backflip on his snowboard right at the edge of the cliff. He landed safely a few yards back. And the end of this chapter, the next memory that he gets thrust into is one of the Ice Emperor. And he's like, nope, Pixel, get me out of here, pull the plug. And I feel like this addresses the Ice Emperor, at least as best it can, given the previous stuff and the fact that this is a children's book. It implies that Zane hasn't, spoken about the Ice Emperor thing because it's trauma that he's been repressing, actively avoiding confronting. It is difficult to describe, but I think it has something to do with the terrible things I did when I was the Ice Emperor. That is not something I allow myself to think about often. You have faced your fears before, Zane, Pixel reminded him. and I believe that is what you must do now. I also love this part. I should be able to send you directly to a memory in the Neverrealm, she said. Are you ready? Initiating memory exploration in 3, 2, 1. She didn't wait for a response. Zane sees himself as the Ice Emperor, yells at him, "Why? How can you do this? This is not me. What's going on?" There's like a really, I don't know, I can see it all in my mind, and I want to see it in the show. Zane tries to talk to the Ice Emperor. At one point, the code glitches, so he can actually interact with his memories. He sees a couple of different flashbacks. At one point, there's a moment where like the Ice Emperor is early in the corruption, and Vex is like, "We should do bad things to these people," and the Ice Emperor is like, "Are you sure?" And Vex is like, "Yep," and he's like, "Okay." I guess to Zane, that proves that like he was still in there, he was still fighting back, which I think is interesting because like, what if he didn't fight back, right? Zane would still have to come to terms with that. Would he be able to if this is the one thing that is getting him past it? And then for a totally alternate read that we talked about in our book review, I can't remember who brought it up, but the idea that Zane being there, being able to resist and not being able to overcome the Ice Emperor for certain kind of makes him look worse. He didn't have enough willpower to overcome the Ice Emperor, which kind of makes it more... Obviously, any way you slice it, this isn't Zane's fault, but has he actually overcome this internal trauma if it's that easy for him to get over it? I know we're in a children's chapter book, so we can't do anything too deep. I think the main thing that this section hammers home for me is that the writers did not know what they were getting into when they wrote season 11. Not necessarily do I feel like the book could be better, but I feel like the book deserves better, if that makes sense. Anyway, Zane forgives himself, he gets back his power, hooray. On to the Cole chapter. I've been sitting here a while. It's cold now. Cole, after losing his powers, has decided maybe I should try farming. That might be fulfilling. And so he does. We start out with his father coming to look for him. "Excuse me," the man said. "I was wondering if you've seen my son Cole." Bushy eyebrows, great head of hair. Solid description of Cole. But he finds Cole. He's doing great. He's farming. He's protecting the farmers from evil people who want to take over all of the land. "Sorry about that," Cole muttered. "It's great to see you, Dad, but I'm fine." Cole is the best at dealing with trauma. This is confirmed. "And you're defending the land for the farmers?" "Trying to, at least. I promised Mom I'd always stand up for others, and that means whether I have powers or not." Kai, are you listening? You need to hear this. Chapter 2 is entitled Attack of the War Tractors. Best title in the book by far. War Tractors attack. Cole tries to defend the farmers against them. Lou is like, "I am going to support my son and do what I can." And so he goes and he tries to kick the tractors, but of course that backfires horribly. But instead of knocking the heavy vehicle on its side as he had intended, Lou just bounced awkwardly off the machine and landed very ungracefully in the mud. No kidding. The driver was so preoccupied with Lou's blunder, he didn't notice he was driving his vehicle off the path and straight into a ditch until it was too late. Then we have this scene where he's talking with his dad. He has this little flashback to a time when they're all dancing in the living room together, and we've seen this before, but I don't know, it still got to me. Lou feels a little inadequate in his marriage because Lily's off saving the world and he's just home watching Cole, and Cole is like, "You know what? You're the one who freed Mom up to be able to save the world. You are just as important in that relationship." And Lou is like, "I never thought about it that way before. I feel so much more fulfilled in this past relationship." And it's Anyway, so they found strength in family, and all the farmers are like, "You're our family. We're going to help you defend our land." And so Cole trains him up. The war tractors come in again, and they're throwing all sorts of stuff. and there's like, at one point they throw hay bales at them. The projectiles arced towards the war thrasher, but they either smashed harmlessly into its sides or they were incinerated by the jets of flame. Yeah, but the sacrifice that all of these people are willing to take inspires Cole, and he gets his powers back, and so he of course defeats the bad guy. The bad guy says explicitly that he's going to go into something easier, like pillowcases. So I fully expect the next major villain of Ninjago to be pillowcase manufacturers. And lots of family bonding, wholesome stuff. Great story. I'm not saying everything because there's so much good that I can't tell it all to you. And that brings us to our last story, Jay's story, and our very cold tea. So in Jay's story, let me try and recap it. So Jay and Nia are like taking a break after the end of Crystallize. And so they go to this remote island at this resort, and Jay is feeling very down on himself because he lost his powers and it's bringing up all of his parental trauma. I love this new resort already, and hardly anyone's even heard about this island. No video games, no television. Nia, do you even know your boyfriend? There's a line in here that I really like that implies the reason that losing his powers messes with Jay is because it's the one thing that he had from his biological mother. They don't go into it at all, but fanfic writers get on that. He couldn't stop thinking about how similar it felt, not having his powers and not knowing the reasons his mother, from whom he'd inherited those powers, gave him up. I guess they're both about loss, he thought. I'll never get either one back. Nia is like, go on a walk, clear your head. And Jay is like, okay. And so he goes into the jungle to clear his head and immediately gets lost. His brilliant plan is that because it's an island, if he just walks in one direction, eventually he'll reach the shore. And then he can just circle around the island and get to the resort, which is on the shore, which to me, sounds like not a great plan. But that's where we're at, so that's the plot. He's walking for a while, he's starting to lose his mind a little bit. A moment later, he heard something hacking through thick vines, and thanks to his imagination running wild once more, he suddenly worried that he might stumble into the territory of a fiendish fugitive who was hiding on this remote island. Fujidove! No, it's not Fujidove. Unagami is here. Why? He's researching for a video game that he's making. It doesn't matter. He's just on this island. So we get Jay Unagami buddy adventure through the jungle. They're going around, they find like this lightning bolt shaped stone, and they do something and it reveals this hidden passageway to this ancient civilization that has been undiscovered up until this point. I'm glad we're doing this together. Me too, buddy, Jay admitted. Buddy, Unagami repeated. I like that. No one's ever called me that before. It feels like something an older brother might say to a little brother. Do you guys not call, like, every child you interact with buddy? Is that just me? Like, if I'm babysitting some kids or I'm, like, talking to my younger cousins or buddy, hey bud, I feel, has no one called Unagami buddy? They go down the staircase and find this like library with all these ancient scrolls, and they happen to read one about like, in this society, people used to raise their children as everybody together, and there were no dedicated parental figures. So Jay realizes like, oh, they raised their kids as a group, and like, I had lots of people give me love and support, and that's okay. It's fine that I don't know my biological mother, and he unlocks his true potential. Yay. Which is interesting that this is all happening with Unagami, because Jay is the one who had to tell Unagami that like, it's okay, I don't know why my mother abandoned me, but you just have to have trust. And now he's with Unagami and has to learn like, oh, it's okay, I don't know why my mother abandoned me, but I just have to have trust and be content with the love and support that I have received in my life. So Jay exhaled deeply and realized he could still feel the elemental lightning power surging through him. He swore to himself he'd never let his true potential go again. How much you want to bet? So, like, they activate a booby trap, and so everything is collapsing. Jay is, like, running up the stairs. Unagami, like, passes out at some point. So he's carrying Unagami, running up these stairs, blasting rocks, but, like, also this entire civilization that they, like, saw 5 minutes of has now been destroyed. So, like, that's not good to me. Then Nia pops up and is like, hey, I'm here to take you back. I put a tracker on you because I knew you were going to get lost, which also seems very in character. And that's Jay's story. Back to the epilogue with Wu. And he, like, tries to sum up the lessons, the moral of the lessons that were at the end of each thing. As for Zane, well, he did not hesitate to ask for help in finding his powers. He turned to someone who had helped him many times in the past, and someone he trusted, perhaps above all others. And the story ends, please come visit me again. Where the ninja are concerned, there are always more stories to tell. I really hope so. Now that's the story, but this book comes with a glossary. And I've got some notes about the glossary here. I got some tea. The main point I would like to make here is the definitions that relate to our female characters. In Pixel's definition, it talks about how she's battled alongside the team, took over the Samurai X mech, and the Samurai X title, I might add, and she is Zane's closest friend. Fair enough. Let's go to Zane's description. Nindroid, ninja robot, master of ice, titanium ninja, white ninja. I don't see any mention of Pixel in his description. That's interesting. Let's look at Skylar. Became an ally of the ninja and now Kai's girlfriend. Well, we know that's not true. Even by the end of this story, they have not put labels on anything. Let's see what Kai's description says. No powers, hot-tempered, fire ninja, confused. Nothing about Skylar in Kai's description. Well, let's look at Nia's definition. Nia, Kai's sister. Ugh. That's not even relevant to this story. Kai's sister, member of Master Wu's ninja team, water ninja, and Jay's girlfriend. Great. Nia has gone on record saying she does not want to be Kai's sister and Jay's girlfriend. Neither are particularly pertinent here. Kai's sister, not at all pertinent. It seems especially weird that Skylar isn't mentioned in Kai's description because their relationship is immediately relevant to the story. So what's going on with these definitions, huh? Is that, is there a reason that all of these female characters are literally defined by the male characters that they're interacting with? I don't know. Anyway, that's actually the end of the book. Overall, I really enjoyed my experience with this book. I read through it twice, going on 3 times. I can't tell you anything about, like, the print quality of the book because I don't have it. So it's the next day. Book came, it's here, it's real. I'm actually holding it this time. So that's good that they actually got it to me. Not too much to report. It's your standard book type book. Look at how pretty the pictures are. Look at this. Anyway, so that physical book, it is a book. You can see we got Kai and some evil rabbits. My tea is still here from yesterday. Should I try it? It just tastes kind of like cold water and a little bit of dust too.